In 1950, on the streets of America, it was easy to spot a neat, gleaming sedan under the morning sun, the Chevrolet Styleline Deluxe. For many, it was more than just a car. It was a sign that life itself was changing. After World War II, America stepped into an era of prosperity. Young families were searching for a reliable vehicle to take them to work, school, and Sunday drives. Chevrolet answered that need with a name that soon became familiar to millions: the Styleline Deluxe. What made this car special wasn't glamour or speed, but the way it became intertwined with the memories of an entire generation. Today, we'll travel back in time to revisit the car that accompanied Americans through the early years of the 1950s and uncover why it is still remembered to this day. By 1950, the American car market had become a playground, unlike anything seen before. After years of war, the economy was booming, wages were rising, and the middle class was growing. Families wanted their own cars, not only for commuting, but also for weekend getaways together. Car makers knew this well. Ford offered the Custom Deluxe, while Plymouth introduced affordable yet practical models. The race to win consumer loyalty grew intense. Ford often highlighted its powerful V8 engines, while Plymouth attracted buyers with lower prices and approachable styling. In this climate, Americans didn't just want a car that could move them from point A to point B. They wanted durability, reliability, and a touch of elegance, something to show off to the neighbors without breaking the bank. This was the gap Chevrolet identified. As part of General Motors, they knew that if they could create a car that was both practical and stylish, they could secure their position as America's #1 automaker. In 1949, Chevrolet began its path of renewal by introducing the Styleline, gradually replacing the older Fleetline models that still carried the look of the 1940s. The Styleline was offered in two trims, Special and Deluxe. The Special targeted budget-conscious buyers, while the Deluxe represented a step up for those who wanted practicality combined with a touch of sophistication. And that touch of class was most evident in its exterior design. At the front, the grille gleamed with polished chrome, its horizontal bars forming a friendly smile. Twin round headlamps sat neatly on slightly bulged fenders, giving the car a look that was both sturdy and approachable. I still recall seeing a light blue Deluxe at a classic car show. The way sunlight bounced off its chrome made it feel as though it had just rolled out of 1950, a truly unforgettable sight. The body of the Deluxe was seamless, its gentle curves flowing smoothly from hood to trunk. Not as flamboyant as a Cadillac, nor as plain as a Plymouth. Chevrolet struck a balance, and that balance made families feel it was just right. Not too showy, yet never ordinary. At the rear, the design was compact, with petite taillights framed by delicate chrome. Though the massive tail fins of later years hadn't arrived yet, the Deluxe still radiated a dignified charm suited to middle-class tastes. Some chose the convertible version, turning summer drives into cherished memories. The top folded down, wind rushing in, children laughing in the back seat as the car cruised through quiet suburban roads. Chevrolet also offered a variety of body styles: two-door sedan, four-door sedan, coupe, and convertible, each tailored to different lifestyles. This versatility was one of the reasons the Styleline Deluxe captured such a wide audience. The exterior was the alluring shell, but what truly makes you want to stay attached lies inside. The seats were upholstered in thick cloth with sturdy stitching. Not luxurious like a Cadillac, but warm and reassuring. I remember the first time I sat in a Styleline Deluxe at a classic car meet, it felt like stepping into a time machine. The scent of aged fabric mixed with metal and a faint woody note from the dashboard reminded me of my grandparents' living room. Simple, yet deeply familiar. The dashboard gleamed with chrome, a large round speedometer placed right in front of the driver. The switches and knobs were laid out plainly, easy to use. To modernize, it might look basic, but in 1950, that simplicity was elegance. Chevrolet also offered optional comforts like an AM radio, electric clock, or a heater, extras that not every family could afford, but which made a world of difference when they were included. What I love most about the Deluxe's interior is the feeling of being welcomed yet cared for. It wasn't distant, like the expensive luxury cars, but it never felt cheap either. Resting your hands on the slim two-spoke steering wheel, you realize you're holding a piece of history, something that had guided millions of American families through their first journeys of the 1950s. And once you've explored the cabin, the natural question is, what kind of driving experience does the engine under the hood deliver? Open the hood of the Styleline Deluxe, and you'll find one of the most familiar engines of the era, the Stövebolt 6, displacing 216.5 cubic inches and producing around 92 horsepower. It was nicknamed Stövebolt because the bolts resembled those used in old wood stoves. But don't let the humble name fool you. This was the engine that built Chevrolet's reputation for toughness over decades. The strength of the Stövebolt 6 was its simplicity. With a straightforward valve-in-block design and an easy-to-service layout, mechanics and even backyard dads with a set of wrenches could maintain it with little trouble. I once heard a collector say his Deluxe ran over 100,000 miles with nothing more than regular oil changes and basic upkeep. An impressive figure in the context of the 1950s. Standard transmission was a 3-speed manual with the lever mounted on the steering column, the familiar 3 on the tree. For many young drivers, learning to drive meant mastering this very motion. Chevrolet also offered the new Power Glide Automatic, first introduced in 1950. This was a milestone, the first time a mid-price Chevrolet could be had with smooth, clutch-free driving. Of course, it raised the price, but for many families, it became a symbol of modern convenience. So how did this engine and transmission translate on the road? Don't expect the punchy character of Ford's flathead V8. The Styleline Deluxe was tuned for smoothness and composure. On straight highways, it cruised quietly, without roar or jerk. Independent front suspension, paired with rear leaf springs, provided a steady ride on America's growing highways. I once rode shotgun in a Deluxe, and what struck me most was the serenity. Over small potholes, the body dipped gently and quickly regained balance, making it feel more like a sturdy boat than a sedan. The slim 2-spoke steering wheel, large in diameter and without power assist, was typical of the era. At low speeds, drivers had to apply noticeable effort, especially when parking or making tight turns. But this detail revealed something fascinating. In 1950, easy to drive didn't mean effortless convenience. It meant being in full command. The experience wasn't for everyone, but it highlighted the contrast between a 1950s family sedan and today's electronics-laden cars. For many drivers back then, the need to put some muscle into steering was part of the charm, a reminder that they were truly in control of a solid machine made of steel. In daily use, the Styleline Deluxe proved itself the perfect family car. It didn't win races, but it won loyalty. From quick shopping trips in town to cross-state journeys, it showed unfailing reliability. Countless families loaded it with luggage, kids, and even the family dog, traveling hundreds of miles without fear of being stranded. That very reliability turned the Styleline Deluxe into a bestseller and directly fueled Chevrolet's record-breaking sales in 1950. At a time when Americans craved a practical family car, Chevrolet sold over 1.5 million vehicles that year, with the Styleline Deluxe accounting for a major portion. It wasn't the fastest car or the flashiest, but it hit the sweet spot. Reasonably priced, durable, and stylish enough to make owners proud when parked in the driveway. Ford's strength lay in its V8. Plymouth competed with low prices, but Chevrolet wisely chose the middle path. And that's why they came out on top. What's remarkable is that sales were more than just numbers. They represented emotional bonds. For many families, the Styleline Deluxe was their very first car, tied to road trips, childhood memories, and even milestones of upward mobility. The press of the era praised it as the car for every family, reinforcing Chevrolet's image as the brand most closely aligned with middle-class America. On quiet streets and in suburban driveways, its rounded roofline and gleaming chrome trim became familiar sights. Family photos of the era often featured the Deluxe in the background, like a silent but enduring family member. Film and media also reflected its presence. In movies depicting post-war everyday life, the Styleline Deluxe frequently appeared parked along curbs, taking characters to work or carrying families to picnics. It wasn't cast as a symbol of speed or wealth, but rather as the face of stability, simplicity, and the attainable American dream. Many veterans returning from Europe or the Pacific chose the Deluxe as their first car, a modest reward for themselves and their families, a marker of transition to peace. Over time, the Styleline Deluxe became more than just a mainstream car. It evolved into a testament to an era when American automobiles began to embody prosperity and optimism. And that's precisely why its collector value today has grown so significantly. Among classic car enthusiasts, sedans remain relatively easy to find, but coupes, and especially convertibles, are increasingly scarce. A deluxe sedan can still be purchased at a modest price, perfect for those who want to own a piece of America without breaking the bank. But a well-preserved two-door coupe or convertible can command much higher prices, sometimes exceeding $40,000 at auctions. I remember attending a vintage car show where a fully restored deluxe convertible was displayed. When the sunlight hit its cream paint and chrome trim, the crowd seemed to pause in silence for a few seconds. Not because it was the most expensive car there, but because it transported everyone back to an America 70 years ago, when joy was as simple as lowering the top and singing with the family on a long highway drive. Today, the Styleline Deluxe holds a unique place. It is both a valuable collectible and a cultural icon steeped in nostalgia. For many, owning one is not just about display. It's about preserving memories and retelling the story of an optimistic America where every family believed the future would be brighter. This blend of material worth and emotional resonance has made the Styleline Deluxe a true treasure in the classic car world. But do you think it was its simplicity and durability that made it part of America's memory? If you enjoy stories about classic cars, hit the like button to support the channel. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next deep dives into other legendary cars. Have you ever seen or even driven a Styleline Deluxe yourself? Share your story in the comments. I believe every memory makes this community richer. And if you'd like to see more stories like this told, Please share this video with fellow enthusiasts. Your support is what helps this channel grow and deliver even more exciting content.